right now, Morris?
She's fine, Mr. Fletcher. She'll be a lot better, though, when these rumors about us stop. I think that, it would be good if we weren't seen together so much. So I'd like to ask to be transferred to another cell. Now, that's best, and you know it.
I think Judy's right, Tracy.
You see, Mr. Fletcher, we weren't lovers. We were just friends. And there's a difference, huh?
Hey, you're the policeman. The one on telly last night. Is it about the kidnapping? Well, have you found anything?
No, we're still working on it. I'd just like to ask Sister Brooks a few more questions.
Oh, yes, I'll tell her you're here.
Oh, please get the doctor quick. There's something wrong. She's breathing funny.
Gonna be too late. I know it.
Will you calm down?
Oh, sure, yeah. My baby's been kidnapped. She's probably dying, and all you can
Mrs.
say...
Davidson went to a great deal of trouble to get
Would
you
you
this leave.
kindly keep your voices down? This is an intensive care unit. Who are you?
Oh, this is Latham from Wentworth. She's come to see her child.
Is she still alive?
Of course she is. Come this way.
Now, you'll have to be very quiet.
Elizabeth. What have they done to you?
She's a very sick baby.
Is she gonna get better?
She's in the best of hands. She's suffering from lack of medication.
Can't you give me an honest answer?
Your baby is on the critical list, but we expect she should pull through.
You'll get better. You'll have to. You're the only thing I've got.
Come on, Brian, smarten your ideas. Only got 5 minutes left till muster.
Hi. Oh, thanks for doing that.
You're welcome.
Do you have to stare over my shoulder 24 hours a day?
Come on, Brian, I haven't got time to waste.
Well, let's see now. We got blanket sheets, towels, little nightie here. What else is there?
Why ask me? It's your stuff.
Oh, I know. Toiletries. Yeah, can't forget those. Clean body, clean mind.
Your civvies.
Can't wait to get rid of me, can you?
You asked to be moved, Brian.
Only because of narrow-minded people. Now, don't you worry. You're going to be all right.
Sure.
You're going to be fine, I promise.
First my father walks out of me, and now you. I'm all by myself again.
Come on, you've got all your things, haven't you?
Yeah, well, I'm going to need a lot of help here, Tracy. Come
I
on.
can manage.
You've forgotten something.
Oh, that. I left that on purpose for you. It's a sort of a farewell gift, you know.
You're only moving down the corridor, for Pete's sake.
It's yours.
What if I don't want it?
Oh, it's yours anyway.
I've got Doreen outside. Do you want to see her now?
Yes. Has Jackie Nolan gone to court?
Yes, she has.
Good. How's Doreen coping?
Well, you won't get much out of her. She's really closed herself in.
Well, let's hope Dr. Weissman could help her. Certainly sounds as if she needs it. But you better bring her in, Meg.
Come along, Doreen.
Doreen, what am I going to do with you? I really thought you'd make a go of it this time.
Yeah, I made a mistake, Mrs. Davidson. I thought they were going to take Chrissy's baby away from her for good. And I just didn't want her to go into a home.
But there was no question of that.
I made a mistake.
Yes,
But I want you to know I'll do everything I can to help you. Now, the thing that concerns me is that you're back in here. Did you apply for bail? Well, I may be able to do something about it. Would you like me to try?
No, I ought to be in here.
Would you like to talk about it? Doreen, I know how painful it must be for you to even think about what you did. But there are one or two things we have to straighten out. Now, according to the hospital, you returned Elizabeth of your own free will. Is that correct? Well, that's a point in your favor when you come for trial.
I still took her.
Well, perhaps we better talk about this later. Mrs. Jackson will take you to the nurse for medication, and that will help you cope for a while. Dr. Weissman will be here to see you shortly. Until then, you will be staying in the isolation wing. Now, I don't want you to think that this is a punishment. I know you don't like being alone, but trust me.
Come along, Doreen.
Right, behind the screen.
I don't need to be searched. I was with you all the time.
Look, you know the procedure. I know you've had a worrying time. But you've seen your baby, and you know she's going to pull through.
I'm going to get that animal that took Elizabeth.
Oh, now you're just being silly.
You think I don't know who it was? It was Doreen.
I wouldn't be making any wild accusations if I were you.
Stands to reason, don't it? She's sick in the head. I suppose they'll be bringing her back here soon, won't they? So I won't have to wait long. When I get my hands on that bitch, I'll...
What will you do?
I swear to God I'm gonna kill her.
Since you already seem to know, there's no point in denying that Doreen Burns abducted your child. But I will not tolerate threats.
No.
Doreen will suffer quite enough without you threatening her, and I would like you to hear her side of the story.
You're real understanding, aren't you? What about my side of the story, eh? Burns has made Elizabeth and me suffer, and I'm gonna make sure she suffers too. You bitch!
That's the last warning, Latham. Doreen, I would like you to know that Elizabeth is off the danger list.
Oh, that's terrific. I'm glad. I'm real glad.
Oh, I bet you are, you bitch. If she'd have died, you'd be up for murder.
The fact that Doreen brought Elizabeth back when she did probably saved her life. Doreen, I would like you to tell Latham why you abducted her child.
I know why she took her. Because she'll never have any kids of her own, that's why.
No, Chrissy. I did it for Elizabeth. When I heard that they were going to put her in a home, well, I couldn't think of anything worse.
But they weren't taking her to a home.
I know, but that's what I thought they said. And you don't know what those places are like, but I do, and so does Chrissy, and I just wouldn't have that for Elizabeth. I was going to look after her until you got out. But then she got sick. She got real sick, and I knew I couldn't. But I couldn't just leave her. So I took her back to the hospital. You see, don't you? Oh, look, I know I was stupid, but I didn't mean to hurt her. I love that little kid, Chrissy. I suppose it is because I can't have any of my own. But I do love her.
Oh, you silly cow. Come here.
What are you doing here, Morris? Why aren't you working?
I haven't been assigned to anything.
Oh. Well, there's a vacancy in the kitchen.
I'd much rather work in the laundry if that's all right.
Look, Morris, while you're here, you better learn to do as you're told.
Please, Mr. Fletcher, I'd much rather be in the laundry.
All right, come on then.
Thank you.
All I know is
is that when I took me trolley back to the kitchen, Bev said that Chrissy had gone to hospital. That must mean the cops have found little Elizabeth.
Well, I wonder who took her.
Well, what does it matter? The most important thing is that the baby's back.
Yeah. Poor little mite. I hope she's all right. Them bloody rotten mongrels that molest little kids.
Morris will be working in the laundry from now on. Find us something to do, will you, Smith?
Yeah, okay. You can give Mouse a hand with those sheets, Tracy.
Okay. How come you're here? I've got to work somewhere. They're short-handed in the kitchen. Funny Fletch didn't send you there. He was going to, but I asked to work in the laundry.
Oh, wonder why.
I wanted to work with my friends, Bea and Lizzie.
And Judy?
Shut up, Mouse.
Oh, don't say that. I was just going to suggest I change places with Judy. You get nice and close folding sheets.
Lay off, Mouse.
But I suppose you can wait till smoke, eh? There's a nice warm little corner over there by the dryers. Just the place for a kiss and a cuddle.
I said lay off. One more word out of you about Judy and Tracy.
What are you getting so hot under the collar for?
Get it, Bea! Oh, shut up, and that goes for the rest of you, too.
Okay. Funny, isn't it? Wonder why Bea's getting so touchy about lesos.
I want to ask to be moved out of the laundry.
Really? May I ask why?
Well, I thought you would have guessed. Tracy Morris.
I'm a prison officer, not a social worker. I'm not going to rearrange things to suit your social life.
Look, I thought I got through to you. You know why I wanted Tracy moved out of my cell, and then you go and detail her to the laundry.
Get your facts straight. Morris made the request herself.
Oh.
Besides, being on the same work detail's not as bad as sharing a cell.
I wonder what got into her. Anyway, that doesn't matter. I still want her out of the laundry.
Look, it's not up to the inmates to decide where they'll go and what they'll do. Now get it straight. Do as you're told.
Okay. But she's being hassled by those women. There's no point in me adding fuel to the fire. Look, it's for her sake.
Well, would the workshop suit you?
Yeah. Anywhere but the laundry's fine.
Good. I'm glad somebody's happy.
Thanks, Mr. Fletcher. I really appreciate it.
Come on. I'll help you make your bed.
Can I just go in with Bea, Lizzie?
I'm sorry, Doreen, but you heard what the governor said. It's for your own good.
Yeah, maybe she's right. After what I've done, they probably wouldn't want to know me anyway. They don't like people who hurt little kids.
Now, that's not why you're here. And you didn't hurt that baby.
Yeah, but I might have.
You're not to think like that, Doreen. You'll only upset yourself. Come on, let's make the bed.
They think I'm mental, don't they? That's why they're going to lock me away from everybody.
It's only for observation.
Please, Mrs. Jackson, I promise I won't do anything silly, but I just don't want to be left here all by myself.
I'm sorry, Doreen, but you have to stay here until you see Dr. Wiseman. Now, there's an officer on duty at all times in this wing, so you only have to call out if you need anything. I'm sorry. I have to go.
Come in.
Ah, just reporting on Doreen. I've taken her to the nurse for medication, and she's now in isolation.
How's she coping?
Well, she didn't like the idea of being alone.
Oh, I wish I knew what to do with her. Well, let's hope Dr. Wiseman will be able to help.
She handled the confrontation with Chrissy pretty well under the circumstances.
Yes, that was a start, thank heaven.
Any idea when the baby will be back?
In a few days. That child seems to be as tough as her mother.
Well, is there anything else?
Vera Bennett, I've received a medical certificate for her, which means she can take sick leave.
You don't sound very happy about it.
No, it may be no solution at all. What do you think, Meg?
I wish I knew. I know one of the reasons why she drinks, and that's because she's so lonely.
Well, sick leave isn't going to help, is it? What she obviously needs is to be with people.
I'll go and visit her this afternoon. We're friends, of sorts.
I'd appreciate that, Meg. I don't want to lose a good officer, but if this keeps up, I'm afraid I will.
I didn't know there was anyone in isolation.
Now, don't loiter. You've still got the solitary meals to deliver.
Some poor loony, probably. It's a crime locking a body up in a hole like this. Door!
Oh, if I couldn't believe my own eyes. When did you get back? What happened? What'd you do?
Oh,
it's too awful, Lizzie.
Can't be that terrible that you couldn't tell your old Lizzie. Nothing's that bad.
You must have heard about it.
Not a word, but the screws are as tight as fishes.
Yeah. Well, it was on TV. Last night it was on TV.
Chrissy's baby? Oh, you never. They're trying to frame you. It's easy to pick on someone who's been a jailbird.
It was me, Lizzie.
Why?
Oh, because I thought they were going to put her in a home.
Oh, I knew there'd be some good reason. There, love. There. Your old Lizzie understands even if nobody else does. Rotten mongrels. Putting you in here to cry your little eyes out.
It's for my own good, Lizzie.
Rotten mongrels. You ought to be with someone who can take care of you like me and P.
Yeah, but I don't mind much now that I know you two don't hate me for what I done. And they're going to let me talk to that Dr. Wiseman. Then they'll know what to do with me.
But you're not a loony, love. All you need is to be among your friends.
That's what?
Oh, here comes old ferret face.
Now, I told you not to loiter. Get moving.
I'm coming. Now, don't you worry, love. I'll set him straight. You'll be out of here before you can say Jack Robinson. See? Oh.
Tracy, buy-up time.
I'm not interested.
I think it's about time we had a little talk, don't you?
If you're looking for an apology...
I said a talk. Now, I know you're very upset before, but I think...
How much do you own a year, Mrs. Jackson?
What?
$12,000, $13,000. Not much for a lady like you.
Now, what's that got to
But
do
you won't
with
have to worry anymore because Dad's got plenty. You'll be nice and comfortable. You won't have to come along to a place like this every day to earn a crust because Dad's got pots to support you.
I'm sorry you don't like the idea of my relationship with your father.
I'm stuck with it anyway.
I'm not sure you understand, Tracy.
I understand, all right. I lose in every way. Just when Dad and I were getting on so well, I find I have to take the rap. So someone has to console him, don't they? And who's there? It must have been so easy just picking up the pieces, making up for all he's lost. It's not so much as losing a daughter as finding a wife.
How dare you?
Easily. The only person I've ever cared about in my life has been taken away by some scheming, conniving, money-hungry screw.
I am not after
You
his
are.
money.
You saw a good thing and you went all out to get it. You've really set yourself up well, haven't you? The truth hurts, Mrs. Jackson, doesn't it?
Right, Amy. I thought you were distributing buy-up.
Yes, Joyce Barry's just taken over from me.
Hey, what's wrong?
Just a bit of a shock, that's all.
More than a bit by the look of you. Do you want to talk about it?
Tracy's just informed me that I'd got my claws into her father because of his money, and that I deliberately set out to take him away from her.
That little bitch. Did you put her on an insolence charge?
There's no solution, Jim. I mean, what can I do? I'm practically a stepmother.
So you are going to marry Bob, then?
Yes, I am. Tracy's so resentful. How can I marry Bob with that hanging over my head?
Ah, she'll get over it. And even if she doesn't, that's her problem, not yours. Think of yourself for a change instead of putting everyone else's feelings first.
But can't you see, Jim? I have got to consider Tracy. I mean, she's going to be here for some time.
Look, you'd marry Bob if his daughter wasn't in Wentworth, right?
Yes, I would.
Well, there you are, then. Your answer's right in front of you. Don't let Wentworth get in the way of your real feelings.
But, Jim, it's not that simple. I mean, you had to give up Jackie because of Wentworth.
Yeah, well, that's different. The regulations state that I can't have anything to do with her. I've got no choice in the matter. You have.
Hi. I come looking for you. We missed you at the buy-up.
How was Mrs. Jackson? Her usual sweetness and light.
Oh, well, Barry was on duty.
Must have had to cover for her. She's probably crying her eyes out somewhere.
Now, what are you on about?
I told her what I thought of her. That I knew she was only feathering a nest by latching onto Dad. That really set her back.
And do you believe that?
How do I know? She could be.
Honey, I thought we'd straightened all this out ages ago. I mean, hasn't it ever occurred to you that Meg Jackson might love your father? And he might love her.
He loves me. If he marries that bitch, he won't have time for me anymore. I was going to be so good. Then she comes along and spoils it all.
Well, it is possible for a person to love more than one person at a time, you know.
He won't. She's trying to take him away from me.
Tracy, dear, hasn't it ever occurred to you what your father would think about you if you stood in the way of his marriage? He might realize what a selfish person you are and that you don't love him enough to care about his happiness.
No, that's not true.
Well, I'm not talking through my hat, love. You see, when I found out how selfish Sharon was, well, I didn't stop loving her. But it did make a hell of a difference to how I felt about her.
You're probably right. It's just things get so confused in this place. You've got to get your anger out somehow.
I know that, honey. But you don't take your anger out on your father. He loves you, and you love him. And you could do a hell of a lot worse than Meg Jackson for a stepmother.
I know. I've been so silly. I really like her, and I've been such a pig to her and Dad.
Well, it's not too late for you to make it up to them, you know. Why don't you think about that, huh?
Meg?
Yes, Mrs. Davidson?
I was just speaking to Jim Fletcher.
What about?
Well, he said you were upset, and he told me why.
You shouldn't have said anything. It's nothing to do with him.
Well, he's worried about you, and so am I.
There's nothing to worry about. I've got it out of my system. Well, don't they say, cry does you the world of good?
Meg, I don't want to intrude on your private life, but if you will allow me to give you a word of advice. Tracy Morris is obviously undergoing a great deal of stress, and she was able to release it by lashing out at you.
Knowing how she feels, how can I possibly think of marrying her father?
You are in no state to think about anything at present, and that is why I think you should go home.
Doesn't solve anything.
Well, if you won't think of yourself, think of my position. You are in no state to carry out your duties. We've already had one unfortunate incident, and I won't have you cracking up too.
But Mrs.
That is an order, Meg.
If you can give Officer Barry the double shift on Monday and Officer Phillips the day off. How did it go?
Well, it's all there in black and white. Why don't you process me and find out?
Thank you. Stand on that white line, please. Jacqueline Mary Nolan, you have been ordered by the court to serve the remainder of your sentence, being 2 years penal servitude without benefit of parole.
That's correct. It gets better as it goes on.
In addition, you have been convicted of escaping from lawful custody and sentenced to 15 months penal servitude. To be served at the end of your current sentence, is that correct?
Quite correct. Sum total, 3 years and 3 months.
That's terrible. I thought you had every chance.
Not with that magistrate. An eye for an eye. I have to serve my whole debt to society. The whole original debt. You seem upset.
Of course I'm upset. I was the one that was
I should have taken Julian's advice and run. Don't you think, Mr. Fletcher?
Just sign here, please, and the governor would like to talk to you.
I must say I'm surprised with the severity of the sentence.
So am I. They say you get what you deserve.
In your case, that is patently untrue. You would be well advised to appeal.
I won't.
That's ridiculous.
I can imagine your disappointment, but that is no reason to abandon hope altogether.
That's what the magistrate said. It is to be hoped you will once again become a useful member of the community.
Oh, what a load of old rubbish. You've already done that.
Wrong. I'm a criminal. All I've got to do now is see myself in my true colours, and that's what I intend to do.
Well, perhaps we could discuss the appeal later when you've had time to think about it.
I've made a perfectly rational decision about my future, Mrs. Davidson. I fought and I lost. So now I'll serve my sentence.
Mr. Fletcher, would you take Nolan back and see that she settles in, please?
Oh, sorry.
Come in, Doctor.
I've come to see Doreen Burns. The reception said it'd be okay if I used your office for the interview.
That's right. I'll get the file.
I've read the police report on the abduction. It's a sad case.
Yes, I spoke to Doreen when she returned, but I'm afraid I wasn't able to do anything for her.
Oh, well, it's early days yet. Besides, if prison governors could solve all of the inmates' problems, I'd be out of a job.
That's one way of looking at it.
Oh, Michael, thank God. I thought you weren't going to turn up. Come and sit down.
No, Joe, no worthy soul would knock back a story when it's thrown into his lap.
Oh, good. That means you're going to take it, eh?
Oh, yes, sir. I'll make good copy, and I think I've got an angle.
Well, tell me about it.
Well, it goes roughly like this. Sarah, or Jackie, has done everything the courts maintain they're trying to do.
Right.
You know, no punishment, rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Now, Jackie's rehabilitated herself, saving public money, so what's the point of sending her back inside?
Great.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it'll work. And with a bit of luck, there'll be a public outcry.
Good. That's the first step toward getting her pardoned.
No, well, the press is pretty influential, but it'll take more than that to get her released.
Yes, yeah. Do you know Anthony Vickers?
The MP?
Yeah. Well, he's also a client of ours. Also a member of my club. I've got an appointment to see him this afternoon. I'm going to present Jackie's case to him.
Big guns, eh?
Well, I'm prepared to do anything I can to get her released. Questions asked in Parliament.
And press campaign?
Right.
We'll eat 'em alive.
So when I lost Kevin and then the baby, I didn't have anything to live for. So I reckon...
The only thing was to end it all. But you didn't succeed in doing away with yourself. Now, I think there was a reason for that.
I've just never done anything right, that's all.
No, Doreen, I think you're wrong. Anyway, what happened then?
Suppose things looked up. Made up my mind about what to do on the outside and got myself into trouble straight away.
Now, that's not strictly true, is it? From what I hear, Miss Bennett didn't help.
Yeah, but that had nothing to do with the baby.
No, I know that, but you did have the baby's interest at heart.
Yeah, I just didn't want her to go into a home. Then she got real sick.
And you brought her back. Don't you see that? That's my point. Now, that took courage. Where do you think that courage came from?
I don't know.
Well, it must be in there somewhere.
Suppose.
Look, you've survived. Now, I know it isn't easy for you to accept that at the moment, but you have survived. So you must have some strength in you.
I'm not strong.
No? Who do you think is strong?
Bea, Lizzie. All those things I did. Most of them were because of Bea and Lizzie. I mean, they're still in here, and maybe for years. They've managed to keep it together. So I reckon if they could, I could.
So you drew your strength from them?
Suppose you could put it that way. You know, today when I saw Lizzie, I thought she wouldn't want to know me after what I've done. But she still loves me.
And why not? You know, I think you're a pretty remarkable person, Doreen.
Dad?
Tracy, I just had a call from Mrs. Jackson. Now, I want an explanation, and I want it now.
I've been such a bitch, but it was only because I was so unhappy.
Was it that Bryant woman?
Judy's a real friend to me.
Yeah, well, you can do without friends like that, darling.
You've got it all wrong. She did me 2 big favors today.
Oh, really? What?
Well, first she asked me to move to another cell to stop all the gossip. We don't even work together anymore.
And what was the second favor?
I lashed out at Mrs. Jackson.
You certainly did.
But I did it twice. I told her that she was only after your money.
Tracy, you don't believe that, do you?
No, I don't. But it took Judy to convince me. She really helped me get my head together. Dad, Judy's only interested in helping...
Look, I'll accept your judgment on Judy. What did you sort out about Meg and myself?
Well, that I was being a selfish little pig and I was only hurting you by being so jealous. Dad, I'm sorry.
Apologize to Meg, Tracy, not me.
I don't think I could face it. Couldn't you do it?
Darling, I'm not going to apologize for you.
I'd like to think you'd take that responsibility on yourself. Now, don't disappoint me again.
You're right. I'll do it now.
You can't. I'd like to see Meg myself, but she's already gone home.
Well, I'll apologise to her tomorrow. When are you going to see her again?
When would you like me to see her?
As soon as possible. Dad, I want you to be happy, both of you. And if Mrs. Jackson's prepared to put up with me as her stepdaughter, I want you to get married.
Coming. I'm coming.
Hello, Vera.
Oh, Meg, hello. Come in.
Oh, just for a moment.
You finished early? Just a split shift?
Yes, something like that. Why don't I make us a coffee?
My guest.
No,
I'll
no,
make it.
No, I'll be all right.
How dare you pry?
I'm not prying. Vera, whilst I make the coffee, why don't you go and have a shower? And I saw some soup there in the cupboard.
I don't want any soup.
Well, you should have something. Oh, Vera, look at the state you're in. If you can't look after yourself...
Do you
at least
always do this sort of thing? You barge into someone else's house and then you order them about.
I'm only trying to help.
You're not. You're here to interfere. Well, I pity your friend, Bob.
Don't start, Vera.
I bet he doesn't even know what he's let himself in for. Sweet little Meg Jackson. That's what he thinks. But once you've got him hooked, he won't get a moment's peace with your nagging and your prying. I can read you like a book.
I'm going. I've had enough. But let me give you one word of advice. Drinking's not going to solve your problems. It's already jeopardized your job. And if you don't try and pull yourself together, you're going to end up in a terrible mess.
Meg? Oh, I wanted you to stay. Oh, I wanted you to stay.
On the table, please.
Hello, Anthony. Sorry if I kept you waiting.
Not to worry, Julian. Do sit down.
Thank you.
Scotch?
Yes. Straight, please.
Only a barbarian would drink it any other way.
So, how's business?
The back bench is not exactly the most comfortable seat in our esteemed Parliament, but I'm working on it.
I'm glad to hear it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Shall we get down to business? I've familiarized myself with the facts about Jackie Nolan. An extraordinary situation. Your partner's a fine woman.
Yes, and I think she's a model of rehabilitation. If society demands its pound of flesh, I'm not too sure how she'll cope.
I agree. What precisely do you want me to do about it?
Well, you were saying that you were looking for ways of working your way out of the backbenches. Perhaps campaigning for Jackie Nolan could be a stepping stone.
You're a very shrewd man, Julian.
You're a politician. You could use Jackie's case to bring yourself to the attention of the party.
I already have the Premier's ear if I need it.
Then you can mention her case.
Yes, I can. Oh, not just to further my own ends, of course. Your partner's been hard done by. I should like to see her get out of jail. To Jackie Nolan's release.
Yes.
Oh, hello, Mr. Davidson. What are you doing here?
Oh, Dr. Wiseman is seeing Dorian Burns in my office.
Mrs. Davidson, I'm worried about Jackie Nolan. Isn't there anything we can do to help her?
Well, we can't force her to make an appeal. And as she said, she's made a perfectly rational decision.
She hasn't, has she? Not really. Just wish there was some way we could talk some sense into her.
Well, couldn't her partner do that?
I doubt it.
Well, we can't force the issue if he doesn't want to help Nolan.
Who will?
Jim, it's not your concern. I am aware of your attachment and I sympathize. But if you're thinking of taking up cudgels on her behalf, you'll find yourself on very shaky ground. You know the department's ruling on personal involvement with a prisoner.
Only too well.
I intend speaking to Nolan again. She may reconsider about making an appeal. In the meantime, I want you to consider your professional position and not get involved.
I'll have you a minute, Mrs. Davidson.
Of course, Doctor.
I've just finished with Doreen Burns.
Oh, yes. How did you get on?
Well, I think she's going to be all right, but I would recommend that she be returned to her friends.
Good. I'll make the necessary arrangements.
I don't think it's the solution, but at least it's a start.
Need a hand, lady?
No, thank you.
How about a trolley?
That won't be necessary. How much?
65 cents. That'll be, the gin's on special, isn't it? $38.25, thanks. If you like, we have a delivery service.
I'm quite capable.
No trouble, lady. Are you having a party?
Beg your pardon?
Just thought, since you were stocking up. What about your change?
Excuse me. I say. Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Yes?
I just had to talk to you. Now, I hope you don't mind my saying so, but you're the dead spith of my daughter.
Oh, really? Well, that's very nice.
Of course, Alice has gone away now.
Alice?
My daughter, she just up and left. She didn't give any word where she was going. Of course, that was years ago. Just thought I'd say that you look like her. Thought I'd say it. Didn't mean no offence.
That's sad. About your daughter.
What's your name, love?
Vera. Vera Bennett.
I'm Nellie. You oughtn't carry those, you know. You give yourself hernia.
Well, it's only a couple of bottles.
We'll need something to keep ourselves warm. Hey, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll sit down, we'll have a drink, cheer ourselves up.
I just live down the road. You come to my house and have a drink.
It's very good of you.
I'd like you to.
Look sad, love.
I had a friend. Had.
Men are not worth the trouble.
Wasn't a man. Meg. She was the only friend I ever had. She walked out on me.
Oh, what a lovely place.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
Nice old furniture.
It was my mother's.
She passed over, dear.
Yes. I'm all alone.
Sound as if you miss her.
It's funny, isn't it? You've lost your daughter, and I've lost my mother.
Yeah. We're both in the same boat. Hey, why don't we have a little drink to cheer ourselves up?
No. You sit down. Put your feet up. I'll do it.
If you say so, dear, but I don't want you to wait on me.
I'd like to. You see, I used to do that for my mother. And it's nice to be able to do things for someone again.
Well, look what the cat dragged in.
Oh!
Nice to have you back, love.
How come they put you back with us? Oh, Wiseman reckoned it was the best place for me.
Good thing, too, because Bea was going to raise the roof tomorrow if you wasn't out of isolation.
You're not mad at me for doing it, are you?
I'm not happy with you, but I know you're only trying to do the right thing.
I didn't mean to hurt her, honest.
Yeah, I know. Well, let's not talk about it.
What about the others? They're going to be after me, Bea.
Oh, they'll have to reckon with me if they try. Now, come off it, Lizzie. No one's going to have a go at Doreen, not while I'm around.
Thanks, Bea.
Don't thank me, love. Come on, it's time for bed. We'll talk about it in the morning. Don't you worry about a thing, love. You'll be safe with us.
Right belong now. Here we go.
I said I wanted to do something for you.
Well, I'm your friend. I'm going to look after you.
I used to cook a lot.
Your poor old mother.
Yes. She liked everything done properly. The table laid, the napkins.
Well, we're going to have it here on our laps.
I don't want you to think that I didn't look after her properly, because I did. It's just that sometimes I needed someone to look after me too.
Of course you did, dear. I understand about that. Now, if you were my daughter...
Yeah, it's an idea.
I'll tell you what. Let your old mum get you another drink.
Thanks, Bob. That was wonderful.
It's all part of the service.
Are you really domesticated? Or is this just a performance for me?
Well, I go to all this trouble, and that's the thanks I get.
But you really can cook a three-course dinner. I mean, you're a better cook than I.
Of course I am.
No, I'll do it. I'll
Sit
do it.
down and relax.
You'll make someone a wonderful wife.
Meg. Meg, I love you and I want to marry you.
I love you too.
Well, will you marry me?
Yes.
Good girl.
Oh.